What's up, everybody? I'm Josh Newberg, and this is the Inside Scoop. We are recording this on a Thursday morning. A lot to talk about, some big visits coming up, some possible flips, some RPMs put in. Let's get right into it with some Simmons scoop. I'm bringing on my guy, Chad Simmons. What's up, Chad? How you doing?
Doing great, Josh. How about you, man?
I am awesome. Let's get it kicked off right now. You put in a new prediction in the RPM. Tell us about it.
Shh. Nobody's supposed to know. No, I'm just kidding. So, obviously, recruiting prediction machine on 3, man. Big way for us to express who we think is trending at the moment. And I think with Samuel Mpemba on 3 consensus 5-star for us out of IMG Academy via St. Louis, Missouri, is trending towards University of Georgia. I think I've been leaning this way. I've hinted at different articles over the last month or two that I liked where Georgia's set with Mpemba, and he'll be back in Athens this weekend for the Samford game. And I thought it was the perfect time to go ahead and put in that pick.
Wow. At 6'3", 220 pounds, what does he bring to the position of edge rusher?
I think athleticism. Me watching IMG Academy last year, he worked out at tight end pretty much the entire season. Now he's gone back to more of his roots playing defense this year. Obviously IMG's loaded, so they had a lot of guys on the defensive line ahead of him a year ago. So he just went over and played H-back, tight end, flexed out at receiver. So I think number one, you see, athleticism and just upside, the length, the ability to run. He can bend. He's flexible. And he's a guy that could play multiple roles depending on where he went and what type of scheme he went into on the next level. If he does end up at Georgia, he's probably that edge guy, that stand-up linebacker guy that can drop into coverage, can rush the passer. And in the end, whoever gets him is getting an elite athlete with true upside.
Absolutely. All right. Before we look ahead to this coming weekend, I want to clean up a little bit of some developments from last weekend. One of which was 5-star wide receiver Hykeem Williams, 6'3", 200 pounds, out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, took an unofficial visit to New Orleans to watch a neutral site game against LSU and Florida State. What is the word coming out of that visit?
The word is strong around Florida State. They've been picking up some momentum really since he was there for a multi-day trip in late July, and I think the team before that was Texas A&M. He did the same with them, almost a week-long visit to College Station in June. But since that visit to Tallahassee for about, I think it was 4 days in July, that they've been picking up some momentum. I think there with Dugans, Norvell, the recruitment, the opportunity to come in and kind of be the face to help turn that program, not say turn it around, but get it back to where it wants to be on top of the ACC. I think Hykeem sees a great opportunity there to play in Florida State early. He has a great connection with the coaching staff, and obviously that win was huge. He was there. He felt a lot of love from the fan base in New Orleans from Florida State. He couldn't talk to the coaches there being a neutral site game, but he felt the love. Trust me, he was texting with that staff throughout the day, throughout the trip. And I like where Florida State's at right now with a commitment coming in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, September 23rd for Hykeem Williams, going to make a big announcement. Now, obviously, September 23rd, not a lot of the season has been played out at that point. What do you, if he were to choose Florida State on September 23rd, what do you think FSU has to do to keep that commitment?
Work. I don't care who Hykeem commits to on the 23rd, Josh. It's not going to be over with until he signs in December. He's that kind of player. And that's really where, top guys are right now throughout the country. They're committed or will commit maybe this fall, but until they sign during that early signing period, right before Christmas in December, it's not going to be a done deal. Hykeem's still talking to, like I said, A&M. He has an OV to A&M right before he commits in September. He'll be at Pittsburgh this weekend, who's been a mainstay in this race as well. He talks to Georgia. He talks to Miami. No schools are going to give up on Hykeem. And I think right now at the top going into this decision, you have Florida State and Texas A&M. I still maybe give a slight edge to A&M, but I think this race is extremely close with Florida State. They love to get him on campus again before he commits. I don't think that'll happen because of just the timing, but Pittsburgh and then A&M did commitment. But I don't think no matter who he commits to on the 23rd, Josh, this will be a race we watch very closely through December.
Yeah. Speaking of commitments that we keep an eye on closely, Roderick Kearney, offensive lineman out of Orange Park. He's been committed to the Seminoles since the end of June. He tweeted something out at the end of the summer saying he was 1,000% committed. Well, in week 1, he was in Gainesville visiting the Gators to watch their opener. We're hearing that he's going to be back in Gainesville again this weekend. Chad, is there reason to be concerned if you're a Seminole fan?
Very quick and short, yes. We talk about the good news, maybe with Hykeem, some momentum there for Florida State. I think they're losing some traction with Kearney, and Florida's picking up some momentum. And, anytime a kid comes out and says 1,000%, anytime a kid makes a statement, typically on social media about being committed, not doing interviews, to me, that's a sign to worry for the school he's committed to. I do think Florida State still is very much in this. On paper, he still is committed to Florida State, and I think a big part of that is Alex Atkins, that connection. I think he's one of the best offensive line coaches in the country, especially when it comes to recruiting, and that connection is super strong. But Rob Sell, Darnell Stapleton, and the University of Florida, they want to change that. And I think when Kearney committed to Florida State, I think Florida was the number 2 school back in June. So I think obviously him going there likely back-to-back weeks this fall, early in the season, shows a lot about where his interest is in the Gators. Now, he'll say that FSU played in New Orleans. FSU doesn't play this weekend. He just wants to go see a game. But in the end, follow the visits. The interest is real in the University of Florida.
Any other teams to watch for in this recruitment?
I think one that's definitely been in communication is the University of Georgia, Josh. He visited there earlier in the spring. He was a top target for them. I think when Roderick committed to Florida State, he caught some people by surprise, did it kind of quietly in June. There wasn't a big fanfare, wasn't a commitment date, all that kind of stuff. So communication has never stopped with Florida and Georgia. I definitely, even though he's committed to Florida State, I give Florida probably the edge right now being the top school based on intel behind the scenes. But the University of Georgia is in contact as well.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting one. I think we're going to revisit this on Monday because I'm hearing that FSU offensive line coach Alex Atkins is going to be at Roderick Kearney's game on Friday. We'll see. Maybe that solidifies things, maybe not. But we'll talk to you about that on Monday. Let's stay in the Sunshine State with 5-star defensive end Kian Keeley. Seems like we talk about him seemingly every week. He decommitted from Notre Dame just about 3 weeks ago, and he has been a hot commodity. Where is he going to be this weekend?
He will be at the University of Florida. I guess maybe hanging out with Roderick Kearney. We'll see. But, could those guys end up together and stay home? It's a possibility. Keeley, obviously, a premier 5-star edge for us on 3, a guy that is an elite talent, super long, super athletic, played for the state championship last year at Berkeley Prep out of Tampa, Florida. And, he was at Ohio State, had a great trip. I'm told Larry Johnson, Ryan Day made a huge impression on not just Keon, but his family as well. But he'll be back at the University of Florida. Keon still has, Gator stuff in his room, grew up following the University of Florida. This was at one time thought to be an official visit. That's been changed earlier this week, an unofficial. Florida wants to get him back for an official the weekend they play LSU later this fall. That's not locked in 100% just yet, but I would guess he will take an official to Florida later on this year. But the University of Florida is definitely a top 3 school for Keon with Alabama and Ohio State, maybe something top 2 with Alabama, depending on who you talk to, them or Ohio State. But Bama has solidified itself as one of those top schools. But Florida has a big opportunity this weekend to have the family on a trip for multi-days. It is an unofficial visit, but they plan to be there Saturday and Sunday, almost like an official. So that's very big for Billy Napier and the University of Florida.
I'm looking at Kian Keeley's On3 recruiting prediction machine rankings, and he's he's about 70% right now, Alabama, but it seems like there's a lot more momentum with Florida at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of buzz around the in-state school, and depending on who you talk to, you hear a top two of Alabama and Florida, or Alabama now and Ohio State coming off that visit. I still think Bama has the edge based on the intel that I have, just because of player development. Obviously, the end goal for Keon is to be a first-round pick, get paid mega money, and play in the NFL. Hard to argue or go against Alabama. Of course, Ohio State with Larry Johnson has an elite track record, with Chase Young, the Bosa brothers. But University of Florida, I think, was that fan favorite growing up. It's an in-state school, easy for the family to get to for games and be a part of his life still in college. So there is some momentum there at the University of Florida, but I still lean a little bit towards Alabama, with Florida having a big opportunity in front of them this weekend.
All right, that's a lot of talk about Florida prospects. Let's head out west. Phoenix, Arizona, the number one tight end in the nation, Duce Robinson, is about to take his first visit of the fall. Where's he going this weekend, Chad?
University of Texas, Duce, number one tight end in the country, top 25 player in the country, baseball star as well. So he's looking for not just football, but the baseball side of things. Also in his college decision as he evaluates schools. And, Texas faded a little bit, maybe, late winter, early spring, then came back into the equation with Jeff Banks and Steve Sarkisian. And getting him on campus this weekend is big. I mean, they already have two tight ends committed, one from New Orleans and one from California. But, when you have an opportunity to get a guy like Duce Robinson, you find a way, you make room if a player of his caliber wants to join your class. I mean, Texas, USC, Alabama, Georgia, those are the main four schools involved. And Texas has a big chance this weekend to make a strong impression.
All right, good. What's a timeline for his decision looking like?
Duce has always said really no timeline, just when he feels the time is right. He's talked about, during the season is an option, but he would lean towards himself, in his words, saying that he thinks it'll happen after the season. I mean, he wants to take his visits. He wants to do his homework. He wants to see teams play. He wants to feel the game day atmosphere. So, USC got him on campus, in the summer. For an OV, is one OV. I think they're trending on I know they're trending on the On3 RPM. He's from the West Coast. He loves that class with Malachi Nelson leading the way. He's gotten close with Nelson, Zach Branch. I think USC going into this trip to Texas, has the edge. But look, he's looking for the best opportunity. Again, baseball, football, education on the field, player development, stability. A lot of things play and factor into his decision down the road.
Awesome stuff, Chad. Thanks for taking some time to join us. I know you're about to hit the road. We're going to talk to you on Monday about where you've been all weekend. Where are you going this weekend?
Well, for me, in my way, it's kind of like a light weekend, not too much on the road this week. And weather permitting, it's supposed to rain a big deal in Georgia and Alabama on Friday. But right now, my plan is to see Central High School in Phoenix City, Alabama, home of A.J. Harris, a top cornerback, going to Georgia. And Tamarian Parker, a hot name that was one time committed to Penn State over the summer, decommitted. He'll be at Clemson this weekend. His first time there, Clemson offered him right after he decommitted. They're a player, Florida, Tennessee, some other schools involved. And then also seeing a 2025 kid that Charles Power likes a lot, Malik Autry from Opelika, Alabama. And then on the road between now and then, Justice Terry, 2025 D lineman from Georgia, has all kinds of offers. Numerous players in the younger group I'll be seeing as well on my way to Alabama on Friday.
Whew, that's a lot, Chad. Stay safe this weekend. We'll talk to you Monday. Thank you.
Sounds good, Josh. Thank you.
Thank you, Chad, for joining us on the Inside Scoop. Now let's go to our next guest, Sam Spiegelman, Southeast Regional Reporter for On3. Sam, how you doing?
I can't complain. Good to see you, man.
Yeah, I've always admired your work. We've never worked side by side on the same team. So let me just first and foremost say welcome. Well, you've been here before me, so you're kind of welcoming me, right?
Yeah, let me say welcome and happy to have you on your show.
Yeah, this is awesome. I'm glad to be working with you. Sam, Chad came on the show and dropped a brand new RPM. Any chance you can match him on that?
Over the holiday weekend, I put an RPM for four-star Longview High School wide receiver Jalen Hale. He's an on-3 consensus top 10 wide receiver in the country. He's been down to Texas and Alabama and Georgia for some time. But Georgia, they got an official visit in the summertime. A&M has entered the race, but this is really shaping up to be a two-team race. Hale officially visited Alabama over the weekends. This weekend, he'll head to Texas, and before he announces his decision at the end of the month, he will stop back at College Station. But this is believed to be a two-team race, and we're believing that the Tide has surfaced as the team to beat. He was in Tuscaloosa over the weekend, spent time with Nick Saban, Coach Wiggins, the wide receivers coach. The big thing here, Alabama has made him a priority. They are in need of wide receiver help. They want guys that they think can come in and contribute right away. Hale, if you're from Longview or you're from East Texas, this is a guy that you've heard about for 4 years, one of the few high school players that was an impact freshman at the varsity level. Alabama brought out the university president. They brought out Nick Saban. They brought out Miss Terry on this official visit. And now he'll see Alabama a second time this weekend when they go into Austin to play Texas, the team competing, for his commitment as well.
Yeah. And if this does go Alabama's way, as you have predicted, what do you think Texas does at wide receiver?
Well, the good thing about Texas is it's chock full of skill position players and one of the best in the country. Mikhail Harrison-Pilot, he's an on-300 athlete. He plays safety and receiver for Temple High School. It's about an hour north of Austin. He's been visiting Texas for several months. He's a kid that has wanted to extend his recruitment beyond his senior season so he can take his official visits after his senior season wraps up. And certainly that works well for the Longhorns as they try to add another pass catcher to this 2023 class to pair with Jonte Cook, a top 100 receiver out of DeSoto, and obviously a five-star plus quarterback, Arch Manning. Harrison-Pilot actually took his visit to Texas when Arch was in town. They've forged somewhat of a good relationship. The RPM has already been favoring Texas for some time, and since then, Oklahoma has come out of the race. Now, Texas is still in the mix with TCU, Cal, Houston, some other schools. But with Hale now trending toward Alabama, this opens up the door for Texas and Harrison-Pilot.
What do you think of Harrison-Pilot as a receiver on the offensive side of the football?
I think he's an exceptional fit. Now, before off air, we were talking about him maybe playing safety. He plays both ways for his high school. His dad is a longtime defensive coach. He coached at the high school and defensive level. So Harrison-Pilot plays with a chip on his shoulder, which you kind of like when you think about how that translates to him playing offense. He's got track speed. He's a major deep ball threat, and he loves to block. I got to see him in the spring game. He's a tough receiver. Not afraid to mix it up, and he's really exceptional at 6 foot, 190 pounds after the catch, making plays. Also, you think about Texas and the big plays that they get on special teams right now. Harrison-Pilot can contribute there in a significant way. So I like his fit, and I like how he has a background on both sides of the ball.
Let's stay in the state of Texas. Jimbo Fisher has the recruiting momentum going once again for Texas A&M. They picked up a pair of commitments. Tell me about that.
Yeah, it started with a top 50 cornerback in the country, the on-3 consensus number 5 cornerback, Bravion Rogers out of LaGrange, Texas. He was committed about 2 months ago, so this seemed like a little bit of a confusing, decision at this point in the calendar. He had talked about visiting LSU and Alabama and Georgia and getting back to Texas A&M, but instead he ends up back in College Station week 1 of the college football season, spends a lot of time with not only Jimbo Fisher, but TJ Rushing, who has been crushing the recruiting trail the last couple of cycles with a ton of 4- and 5-star defensive backs. Bravion Rogers was literally scheduling an official visit to Georgia this past week before TJ Rushing helped guide this commitment back in the fold. And it's a monster commitment because all the schools that A&M was fighting him for are conference rivals. And he has elite track speed. Again, the same way with Harrison-Pilot, he plays both ways for his town, for his high school team. But he's a small town kid with elite talent, the kind of kid that, in this part of the state, you hear, people talking about what Rodgers does on Friday nights all throughout the weekend, and I think that's a significant get for A&M, getting him back in the fold as early as they did.
Is A&M done, or do you see more commitments coming their way?
No, they're not done. They again, Bravion Rodgers wanted to commit in December. So did TJ Shanahan. I think he was maybe even thinking about February at a certain point. He's another on 300 interior lineman, consensus number 7 guard in the country. They got him to commit on Wednesday. That's another big get for Jimbo Fisher and Steve Adazio, their new offensive line coach. They've already restocked that offensive line over the last couple of cycles. You see guys like Bryce Foster and Ruben Fothery playing right away as true freshmen. And you look at someone like TJ Shanahan, who just helped Cade Klubnik and Todd Dodge win a state championship at Austin Westlake. He's a big, mean offensive lineman. His brother plays for Texas Tech. Football is in his family. He's a road grader type of guy that can contribute as a run blocker right away. So A&M, I think it's a significant deal. Everyone wants to wait till December, but not everyone really can wait till December to commit. And A&M is getting signature guys, blue chip players to commit after the first week of the season. You can feel the momentum not only on the football field, but on the recruiting trail as well.
Yeah, it seems like Jimbo's going to have it rolling once again in 2023. All right, let's go to the 2024 class. One of the top not only passers in the state of Texas, but in the entire country. You went to go see him on Friday night, DJ Lagway. What did you learn about his recruitment from your visit on Friday?
Yeah, DJ is a different kind of kid. On 3 is a little bit higher if you look at the industry comparison on Lagway. We have him number 18 in the country, and he is someone who opened the season with a 7 touchdown performance. I kid you not, that is 7 touchdowns, 6 through the air. He is built different. He's about 6'4", 225 pounds. He was supposed to visit A&M first for the Sam Houston State game. He got injured in that game. But that opened the door for an out-of-state team that basically won the first week of college football season to now get DJ on campus. He's going to head to Florida this weekend. Anthony Richardson obviously had one of the best performances in the country by a quarterback last week in the win against Utah. And one of the things that Lagway is really interested in is seeing what Billy Napier's offense looks like, what Anthony Richardson looks like in this offense. So I think, after not making it to A&M, now he'll be back at a certain point this season, but after not making that first trip, Florida becomes the first visit he'll take this season. From catching up with him, this is not a lock to stay in state. He's looking at out-of-state teams like Florida. He wants to see what that offense is going to look like. He wants to see what Oklahoma is going to look like. He wants to see what Clemson is going to look like. He wants to see what USC and LSU are going to look like. But Florida getting him on campus first is a major win for Billy Napier. So he got the big win against Utah on the field, and he's got a big potential win brewing up with his 2024 class in Lagway.
Yeah, and in terms of a decision date for Lagway, what's he thinking right now?
Yeah, these visits loom large because he's going to make a decision early on in the spring. So he's going to take as many fall game visits as he can this college football season, and then he's going to take 5 official visits as soon as he can in the spring. We have an idea of maybe 6 teams are really in it, so obviously only 5 will get OVs. And he hopes to commit as soon as he can in April, and he wants to be, the face of his recruiting class. He wants to be an active recruiter and kind of assemble a recruiting class around him with elite talent. And I think he's the kind of kid that kids are going to want to play with and are going to be excited because he's a quarterback. He's got a great personality. He leads by example. You can see that on the field. It'll be exciting to see where that goes down the line.
Yeah, one of the top arms in the country, and he could, if he's one of the early QBs to commit, kind of start that domino effect that we see a lot of, where one of the top guys goes, and then so do the rest. So, as of now, though, do you see a leader? Is there a team out there that you would point to?
I would say in the spring, I felt really good about A&M. Obviously, the momentum that they have in the state of Texas is unreal, and you can see that. We just spoke about it with Bravion Rodgers and TJ Shanahan. But really, from talking to Lagway, I do feel that he is pretty wide open. The fact that there's a lot of new coaches and offensive play callers in different spots has really kind of evened this out, I believe. Now, with Texas A&M, Haynes King came out great in week 1, and we'll see how that offense looks the rest of the season. I feel like USC and Clemson are in a great spot because Lincoln Riley and Dabo Swinney have a pretty proven track record on the offensive side of the ball. So I think that DJ feels pretty comfortable with the expectation for what that offense will look like at USC and Clemson. But, he wants to see more of Billy Napier and Anthony Richardson. He wants to see what Jaden Daniels looks like with Brian Kelly and Joe Sloan and Mike Denbrock. He wants to see what Jeff Levy's offense looks like at Oklahoma. So, to be fair, I think that Clemson and USC have really kind of built up the relationships, and I'm really interested to see the reaction after visiting Florida this weekend, because he has a fantastic relationship with Billy Napier, great relationship with Rob Sale, the OC, and Ryan O'Hara, who's an analyst on that staff, he calls it one of the best relationships he has. So I think that this visit could really move the needle for him.
Yeah, I'm interested to see where things stand. If the swamp is rocking like it was in week 1, I mean, that's hard to walk out of there with any bad experience. So I think it'll be great for him to see the Gators against Kentucky this weekend. Now let's talk a little bit about you. Where are you going to be this weekend? We're going to talk to you on Monday, and we're going to recap all this, but I just want to know, who are you going to see this weekend?
Man, you picked a good time to ask, because I just changed my entire schedule around last night in typical fashion. But I am staying home in Louisiana this weekend. I'm going to go see LSU commit Caleb Jackson play against Pearl River on Thursday night. I love this kid. He's about 5'10", 210 pounds, and he's just a bulldozer. And he's a guy that should be just breaking tackles and ripping off long runs. We're a big fan of him over at On3. We're a little bit higher on him than the industry. And then Friday night be a big clash between Arid and Destrehan. They are both littered with talent on both sides of the ball, with some big names in the 2024 class, like Wardell Mack, who's a top 100 cornerback on 3. Kalaj Cobbins, who's a on 300 edge for us on 3. And a couple of other big names like Jai Eugene Jr. I know you're going to recognize that name. He's committed to Tulane. He plays quarterback for Destrehan. And they got some other young good underclassmen on that squad I'm excited to check out.
All right, Sam, thank you for making your debut on the Inside Scoop. We will talk to you every Monday and Thursday. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me. Good to see you.
All right, my man. See ya. And that is it for the Inside Scoop. Thank you to Chad Simmons and Sam Spiegelman. We will be back on Monday. As always, you can follow the Inside Scoop on YouTube, also streaming on Spotify and iTunes. You can follow me at Josh_Newberg. We will be back every Monday and Thursday. Thanks for listening.